So good morning everyone. Welcome to CADVision Systems webinar section. So today topics I will talk about configuring SolidWorks Toolbox. So by the way, my name is Ray. Okay. So basically today's topic we will discuss about how Toolbox can help in our design process. Okay. So first, what is Toolbox? So SolidWorks Toolbox is a standard library of parts that is fully integrated inside of SolidWorks. So this includes all your standard nuts, bolts, washer, and other components. These parts are easily accessible for drag and drop to your assembly as well. Okay, and SolidWorks Toolbox is a very large database that covers many standards and fastener types. The toolbox basically you can use with the out of the box default settings. So basically this is something that normally we won't touch it. So today I will tell you how do we play with the toolbox settings. By the way, toolbox basically is a part of the SolidWorks professional package. So if you have the base package of SolidWorks, for example the SolidWorks standards, you will not have the access to this tool. Okay. So first thing, so before we start with how we change the toolbox, so do you know where is the toolbox? So basically we can find a toolbox in our task panes. When we open our SolidWorks and on the right hand side you can open a task pane and go to find the toolbox. Okay. So other than that, there are also a lot of ways to get from the toolbox. For example, if you look at the right hand side here, you can go to the start menu to access to the toolbox. And also in your SolidWorks settings, just expand the tools, go to toolbox, and then you will see a configure. By just simply clicking here, you can just access to the toolbox library to edit it. Okay. So basically some other ways to configure the toolbox. So most commonly we will see this from the options, wizards or toolbox. And remember on the fastener in the library as well. Okay, so when we click into the toolbox, what we can see, you can see from these pictures. Once we click into the toolbox, this is what we can see. There's an interface of the toolbox when we access to inside. You're able to see configuration of the main menu. You're able to see the whole wizards, then customize your hardware, define user settings. You also can set the permissions. Lastly, you also can configure the smart dimensions. So the welcome screen actually gives you a table of contents, showing the hyperlinks to take you directly to that page. So across to the top of the windows, you have the save icons. It's basically to save the changes you made. The home key can use it to take you back to the tables of content, and also the number links, the hyperlink to the different sections outlined in the tables of content. Okay, so first, I will click at the whole wizards. So in this whole wizards, what you can do here, you can extrude the standards that are not used by your companies. If you're able to see from the picture right here, you're able to see the different type of standards. When you click on the whole wizard, it will lead you to this page. Okay, so you're able to untick the standard that are not using by companies, untick it. So as a toolbox administrator, you basically can streamline the toolbox by filtering out the default toolbox components that are not required by your organizations. Okay, so you basically can trim the size of the toolbox, make it more efficient, and then user will be able to spend less time searching the components or deciding which one to use. Okay, so the checkbox next to each folder it will allow you to control which standard will be visible in your user interface. Okay, so you just by double clicking each folders, it basically will bring you to inside of each standards. So which you can able to turn off specific type of fastener within the standards. Okay, so you just click inside to the folders, you're able to see different type of fastener inside the folders. You can just untick it if your company is not using it. Okay, so you can basically filter out the default toolbox hardware offering by standards and by component types from the customized hardware page of toolbox setting. You can see in this picture here. Okay, this next slide. Okay, other than that, you're also able to add or remove the standard size, and also able to for you to add custom values. So basically, you just double click each folders. You see, it will bring you inside of each standards where you can turn off specific types of hole within the standards. Okay, so adding is actually done by clicking the plus symbol. If you can see from the picture there, there's a plus symbol, the yellow color plus symbols. Okay, but just stop clicking at the plus symbol. So so if I start clicking the plus symbols, so you're able to have add any different customized data, so you can customize your own size of the toolbox. Okay. So you basically can customize your standards, you can enable your components, everything. Okay. So after you're done with the hardware, which is the first one, after done with the whole wizard, so the next options, you just click at the customize hardware. You click at the second link, customer hardware, it will be able to bring you to this window. Okay. So in this hardware customizations, so the function is quite similar with the whole wizards. So in this case, you basically can disable the entire group of fasteners and also others hardware. Okay. So other than that, you're also able to select specific type of hardware. Okay, you can step it into groups, so you are able to shut off the specific components. Okay, so you can see on the right hand side of the picture here. So the general properties menu, so it also allow you to adding custom parts numbers, descriptions, comments, and also other properties you choose to add. So this is what you can do in the second step. So other than that, you also can do some size modifications. So the size basically you can adjust or add in by clicking the size under the standard properties. You're also able to do the length modifications. So the length you can be adjusted or added by clicking the length under the standard properties as well. You're also able to change the trade data. Okay, it's because some of the trade data may need to be added for your custom size. So this can be done in the trade data standard properties, also in the step 2. Other than that, you're also able to change the trade display as well. So okay, so other than that, you're also able to change the colors. You may also choose the different colors of the fasteners related to the materials, and some other options like drive types. So for example, like some fastener like the socket head cap screw may have multiple drive types associated with it. So you may give you the option to choose to remove those that your company that doesn't need. So over here, this is what you can do in your second step. So the first one is a whole wizard. The second one, which is the customize your hardware. Okay, so after if you go to the back to the main menus, you click on the third one, it will bring you to the user settings. Okay, so in user settings, if you look at the picture on the right hand side, so what you can do in user settings, basically the first one, you can create configurations. So basically this is the default settings. So each time a size is used, a configuration is added to the toolbox part file. Okay, so you look below of the create configuration, you're able to see the create parts. So if you use these options, the toolbox will create an individual part file each time you use a new size of a particular component. If you look down, you're able to see create parts on control plus drag. Okay, so for a standard drags, it will behave like create configurations. For a standard control plus drags, it will behave like a create parts. Okay, so if you look down some more, you'll be able to see the create parts in these folders. So by this, it basically specified the folders for the parts created when you select create parts or create parts on control drags. Okay, so for me, I prefer configurations. So the part file may be larger if you have a large number of configurations. However, it is easier to work with in the long runs. Okay, what if you need to replace the components in the assembly with other size? If you are using a configurations, you can simply change the configurations. If you are using a part, you will require to replace the components entirely. So that's why I would like to use the create configurations. Okay. So in user settings, they are also able for you to, there are also option for return to read only files. Okay. If you look at the picture right here, you're able to see below the file portions, you're able to see the right to read only documents, so able to see parts numbers and also display options. So here I will talk about these three portions. Okay. So for the writing to read only documents, so it's always change read only status of documents before writing. Okay. So SolidWorks will specify the toolbox temporarily changes the read-only attributes of a file to make a change. So such as creating a configuration for a new component size. So after the change is done, the toolbox will reset the file attributes to read-only. Okay. So these options will allow multiple users to make changes to the same document because write access occurs briefly during the change. So documents that are read only because of user rights or security settings in your operating system are not affected. Okay. So you're also able to allow duplicate part numbers and you're also able to play with some display option as well. Okay, let's just go to the next part. After you're done with the first one, the whole wizard, the second one, customize hardware, the third one, user settings, and then you come to the fourth portions, which is the permissions. So over here in the permissions, it gives you different options to set up the permissions to the user. Okay. So basically all these things can only control by the administrator. So administrator can control the access to different parts of the toolbox. If you can see from the picture at the right hand side, you can able to allow editing of contents. So when the box is clear, you can untick it. So the customized hardware page is viewed only for users who are not logged in. Okay. And also you're able to see allow editing of custom properties. So when it's clear, the custom properties on the customized hardware page are viewed only for users who are not logged in. you're also able to allow addings of parts to the toolbox. Okay, so when it's clear, you cannot add parts to the libraries of toolbox components, and there will be also an option to allow editings of part numbers. When it's clear, you cannot save part number setting in a toolbox properties manager. And then also the last one, allow editings of configuration name or file names. So when the box is clear, you cannot add or change configurations of names or file name in the toolbox properties managers. Okay. So other than that, at the bottom portions, you're also able to see user settings. So there are previously you talk about user setting, what we can do what we can work by using the user settings. So in this portion, the permissions, they also give you more user settings. Okay. For example, the first one, as you can see there, you're able to set separately for each user. Okay. So basically, this is to set the option on the user setting page separately for each user as window registry values. Okay. So underneath the set separately for each user, you're also able to take the allow user to change. Okay, so basically this is to let user change their own settings. So basically you can just take it to allow user to modify their own settings, or take it to restrict them to have their own settings. So in below the set separated of each user, we got another group which is the set the same for all user. Okay, so basically this is to set the option on the user setting page. So it's globally for all the users are using this PC. Okay. Other than that, under the user settings, you're also able to see the smart fastener. So same thing, the smart fastener, you're also able to see set separately for each user. Basically it's set smart fastener option on the whole wizards and smart fastener page separately for each user as window registry values. So pretty much it works exactly like the same things with the user settings. So basically it's the same things as user settings. Okay. Let me see. Okay. And here we come to the next page. Other than setting all the permissions for our toolbox, and then lastly we come to the last portions. After the set whole wizards, customize hardware, user settings, permissions. So we come to the last one, which is the smart fastener. Okay. So over here, you can see on the picture right there. So there are actually 3 choices to limit the available washer types. Okay. So it depends on the size of the smart fastener. So if you look at the first one, at the washer size, the first option is basically the exact match. Okay, so this option is limit the available types of washer that match the fastener size exactly. Okay, and then on the second portion, you're able to see the greater than tolerance of how many percent. Okay, so the greater than tolerance options is limit the available types to hole diameters that match the fastener size within the specific tolerance. Okay, lastly, you come to the unrestricted. So when it's selected, then all the washer types are available. So it doesn't give any restriction to any washers. Okay, after the look at the washer size, if you look down, you're able to see the automatic fastener changes. Okay, also there are also a few options for you to play with. Okay, so SolidWorks Toolbox actually built-in default for the length of a new fasteners. So you have a couple of options to configure regarding the length. Okay, so under the sections automatic fastener change, So the first option, as you can see, is the change fastener length to ensure minimum thread engagement. Okay, so this option is used to adjust the fastener length to satisfy your thread engagement requirements. Okay, so you can make the fasteners length change when the hardware stacks change. Okay, and make the stacks hardware size change when the fastener size change as well. Okay, so if you look at the option down there, the change stack components when fastener size is changed. Okay, so if you check the change fastener length to ensure the minimum thread engagements, so you can enter to a number of thread beyond the nuts. Okay, so the fastener length will adjust so that a specific number of thread extend beyond the nuts. Okay. Alright. Let me see. So other than that, you're also able to, in the last portions, you're able to edit the option for the fastener to use with non-hole wizard holes. Okay. Let me see this. Okay, so basically by using the last options, the fastener to use with non-hole wizard hole. Okay, so basically SolidWorks Toolbox will give you the abilities to specify the default smart fasteners components to use with non-standard hole types. Okay, so if you add a smart fastener to a non-hole wizard hole, then the smart fastener that is specific here will be used. So to change the default smart fastener, basically what you can do is just click the browse buttons and then select the fasteners of your choice. Okay. Okay. So basically, this is the 5 options you can use to configure your SolidWorks Toolbox. The first one, if you look back here, the 5 option. Yep, so these are the 5 options. The first one, you can change the size of hole wizards, and then you can customize your hardware, you can define your own user setting, set permissions for other users, and lastly, you also can configure the smart fasteners. Okay, so that's all for today's webinar sections. Thank you everyone for your attending. If you have any questions, just leave a message to me and I will answer you as soon as possible.